don't be ashamed of who you are. Friggin' own it, and make the most of your time here because it's a beautiful country and I love it here.
Hi, my name is Mitch. I'm a first generation immigrant, and my parents are originally Indian. I was born in Dubai, and I moved here in 2006, so it's approximately almost 13 years. But yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Hi guys, my name is Tiffany. I'm 21 years old. I was born in Canada, and I come from an Irish and Filipino background.
Hi, my name is Harminder. I'm 21 years old. I was born in Canada, but my parents were born in India.
Hi guys, I'm Brianna and I was born in Jamaica but I now live in Canada and I'm 20 years old.
Do you feel closely connected to your culture?
When I was a kid, I never wanted to be part of it. I was always anti, like, when I came to Canada, I just wanted to be more Canadian. But as time went by, I appreciate my culture more and more.
I don't think I'm 100% close to my culture just because I come from basically three different cultures. So having to split myself to three different cultures kind of confuses me, and I feel like because two specific ones are more English based, I don't really connect with my Filipino language as well as like the foods. I'm not exposed to this as much, so I don't necessarily feel as close with my culture.
For me, it's a bit of a yes and a no. Like, I'm super whitewashed. Like, I don't know my language or nothing. But I do like to learn about my tradition. Like, it's really interesting knowing the backside and just the story about it. But I do not follow the traditions myself.
I am 100% connected with my culture. Like I grew up there, so it's just been, like it's still a part of my life because my parents also like make sure like we keep it, we don't get like whitewashed.
Do you feel torn about your identity?
Well, that for me, it's been like a total issue like my whole life. Like my parents would always try to bring me into this idea of what child I was supposed to be, and everything that I did that seemed right in like the school community and stuff like that seemed totally opposite and wrong from my parents. So I feel like no, like I don't.
Yes and no. For example, coming from an Indian background, it is hard to fit in, where there's a lot of like stigma attached to it. Like I said, the gas station and the 7-Eleven owner's side compared to you coming from a Jamaican side. Like everyone, I personally feel like Jamaica is so once more island has a big influence around the world, especially in Toronto, where like everyone wants to hop on that one, like,
Yeah.
you know. But at the same time, I'm proud of what we have. Like, you know, like we have different cultures and like we celebrate it, but it's just like
You wish it was more like
Yeah, like,
accepted
it's
and
just
like more
from-
celebrated as well
yeah.
as you guys do it for yourself.
Exactly.
I feel that.
I personally don't like feel like I fit in just because when I look at like all my friends, like I hang out with different cultures obviously, but they see me as the Filipino girl or like the Asian girl, but they don't understand that I can't speak it, I don't
You
practice
don't know that side.
the culture.
Yeah.
And when I actually went back home in 2016, when I tried to speak their language, they laughed at me. You know, and like I knew how to speak it, I understood it, but because I didn't have their accent or I wasn't from there and he knew it, they just disowned me kind of thing.
Well,
yeah, I feel that
can-
too.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Sorry. But even when I go back home, because I'm so used to like hiding my accent here, so like when I like there's twang is what we call it.
Yeah.
So just like when I go back home, it's like I'm mixing like my Canadian accent with my Jamaican accent. You went to Canada, like you're white now, or you know you're a Canadian, you're not us or whatever. But just because like I sound different doesn't make me any less Jamaican.
Yeah, that's for me too. Like, I'm supposed to be speaking Punjabi at home because all my parents like speak it and whatnot, right? And I'm the only person that doesn't know it. And it's kind of like me speaking Patois. Like, you know, Patois is like broken English. Like, I speak broken Punjabi. Like, I mix up the words and whatnot. And it sounds like I'm just like freestyling to them, and it's so weird. Like, they look at me all weird and stuff. It's like, why don't you know the language? Like, why don't you just follow tradition? But I'm like, I like being who I am right now.
Do you feel caught between two cultures?
When I first moved here, I would never think of like, I never thought of myself as having an accent. Even just saying like, hello, how are you, whatever. I'd have to repeat myself a bunch of times. And it was just like, I'm speaking English, but like, why can't you understand me? Like, I'm kind of like, I want to always like stay true to my culture and like my accent and never like lose it. Like, I don't want to conform and like do all that, but I still have to.
that is like colonial like effect of how the world has happened. If you think about it, like we don't accept our own, like for example in India the English is more valued than like the national language. But that's why coming to back with the immigration, like when I came here, like I had to change my whole concept to fit in. Like my first day when I came to Canada, like when I went to school, my mom packed me curry and rice, and you know how that went. That was completely a whole like mess all, like like that was my first bullying experience, and like that was like I was so embarrassed. And then these kids bring us bland tuna sandwiches, like like
yeah, you want to add some spice to that.
Exactly, like I never understood that.
Let me cheat. Let me add some salt and pepper.
He's like, who does that shit? He's like,
yeah, like that shows how like society, like we have to like I have to assimilate both cultures in one, because in order to fit in, I had to set my standards towards Canadian culture because that was more dominant because I wasn't like in this country. Although we talk about multiculturalism, there is also a dominant culture. That's how things changed for me, and then like I had to merge both two cultures in one.
It's like survival of the fittest almost.
Yeah.
I was about to say you just like adapt to it because you have to just like get through life.
Yeah.
You just have to adapt to.
But the thing
Whatever
is, like,
it is.
they just want you to like fit in, right? But I think like standing out is like the good thing to do.
Yeah,
It's like,
but society and everything want you to think to not fit in. Like, oh, it's bad to fit in. I'm gonna work that 9-to-5 job. Like
Yeah,
things
but
like
that's the
that.
thing,
Like
when
they
you're
want
being
you to
yourself.
do what's basic so that you
Yeah.
can be able to be that part. But then some people who stand out, yes, it's amazing, but they also look down upon because it's next level.
Yes, you just gotta deal with it, right? Like the
You
consequences.
gotta think for yourself.
Do we though? Is it worth losing our identity to conform to someone else?
No.
else's standards?
But what do you do in your everyday life though?
Do you feel burdened to be successful in order to please your parents?
For me, it's like I feel like I'm an overachiever. Like my whole life has been trying to prove to my parents that I've been the best, do everything that they wanted me to be, but there's just this anxiety of like I have to please them, like I have to be perfect, and it's uncomfortable. And like even me being like moved out like on my own, I still hear them from the back of my head, being like, "You're not doing enough. You're not working enough. You're not making me happy." So like I always feel like I'm proving to them all
So
the time.
are you scared of that, or is it like motivation for you?
It's
probably both.
It's both.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the fact that you came out of the country that you wanted to be in to provide for me and want better for me, and I want better for my future family. So thank you for creating this platform for me that I can take advantage of.
Obviously, like we're like all young, but moving to Canada isn't easy at all if you're from a third world, like any unless you're from Europe, like you have a fast pass, like you can come through
Yeah.
anytime.
If you're first world to first world, great.
Great,
But
yeah.
if you're third world to first
like
world,
it's
you have lots.
impossible. Like
Culture
shock.
the amount of tests, the amount of things, like immigration, like people don't know how hard it is, like how the work, the time, the sweat, like and tears, like how much rejection. Like I remember when I was small, I saw people trying to like just gather around to immigrate here, and like they just line up. People just line up to go to Canada, and they just want to like just achieve and to see like, oh yeah, the Canadian dream. Like everyone wants to go, but it's so hard. That's why they come here, and they want you like, oh, shit, we made it now. Now make something of yourself. Otherwise,
All the hard
what's the
work.
point of
What was
going
all
through
that
all
hard
that
work
tears
for?
Yeah.
just to leave that country just for you to succeed? People who tried couldn't make it, and you have cousins back home who could have wished they were in your position and who would do much better. That's what they feel like, like do it. Otherwise, no one else can do better than you.
But the thing is, most immigrant parents, they only believe in like a financial type of like, success, right? Like I'm on some like Gary Vee
think
type of
about
crap.
it,
Like I
though.
just want to be
They
happy,
came from
you know?
third world countries,
Yeah.
so obviously it's like instinct for survival. They
Yeah, I guess.
think that in order to have the best life, you need money because they didn't have much money.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't need a lot of money to actually.
But that's their idea, right? That's the
Yeah.
American dream.
But I feel like that's our job to like change that, like for them, like try to redefine it.
Do you consider Canada to be your home?
No. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you.
I super claim Canada, yo. I'll be like, yo, I took a polar bear to Toronto. That's how crazy it is. Like, it's actually so fucked up, yo. I tell people I live in igloos, all of that, yo. Like,
Let's describe what is Canadian. Like in a sense of what? Okay.
And you know what? That's
if
the
you
hard
claim
thing.
yourself as
Hold on.
Canadian.
You know what's so like you say what's Canadian and like the amount of times like when people hear my accent they don't immediately pinpoint it to being Jamaican because they're like, oh, you don't look Jamaican. So you know how you say like, oh, what's being Canadian? It's also the same thing as what's a Canadian. Like it's the same thing. It's like a melting pot of cultures.
Exactly.
So like Canadian could be black, white, Indian. I don't know whatever else some have.
Diverse.
You know, you can't look at someone and like say, oh, like you're Canadian, you're not Canadian, you're Canadian. It's just like you can't tell someone where they're from, and there's no like exact definition of what's a Canadian.
I'm really happy to be Canadian. Like when people ask me, I just say I'm Indian Canadian or my background's Indian, but I'm originally Canadian, and it's a proud thing to identity-wise because I feel like we represent so many people. Like in this room itself, there's so many cultures combined as one. Like we may not have the identity, but at the same time, it's just a great feeling to have different views and different opinions as from different sides of the world come together.
How has growing up here affected your mental health? Advice for incoming immigrants.
Okay, so my advice for people who are immigrating here is just honestly be yourself, own it, like own who you are, don't forget your roots, don't be ashamed of who you are, friggin' own it, and you know, make the most of your time here because it's a beautiful country and I love it here.
For me, it was like a good and bad type of influence, because I do get anxious at times too. Like I do feel threatened about new things sometimes. That's just me getting it from my parents, you know. But in general, like over time, I've learned to overcome that, and yeah, I mean, there's a good and bad to it. So I guess that's it.
How about you, Bree?
So like incoming immigrants, like even people always message me like when they're coming here for school, and like a bunch of Jamaican like people message me and be like, advice, like they look for like advice from me, and I'm just like, whatever you do, like if you come here to the States, like just never forget your culture. Like don't feel like you need to like water down your culture or like hide it or like feel like you need to fit in with everyone here. Because especially in Canada, like it's so accepted here, and it's just like no matter like what your culture is, like yeah, some are accepted more than the other, but it's also just like never feel like you cannot be yourself. Like always stick to your culture because you never know. You just don't want to lose that part of you.
Yeah, in the beginning, it was mentally like a different stage of like accepting that like it took me a long while to accept my own culture in a sense when I came to Canada. Like in the beginning, I was like, okay, I want to be Canadian. I want to do all this, dress this way, wear hoodies. I was like I started wearing all these other things, you know. Like and then afterwards, you know, I learned things like people come here, they celebrate the culture, they celebrate everyone's culture. And my advice for new immigrants is explore the city. This is especially a city like Toronto. This is an amazing city to explore. Like, I never in my life would ever think that I would be having, like, I just recently tried Ethiopian food. Like, injera. Like, it was one of the amazing experience. I tried, like, the culture. I went to, like Caravana was one amazing culture. Like, culture melting pot, everyone coming together. Like, you know, it was a fun experience. You have taste of downfall. Like, things like that. Like, appreciate everything you have. Because this city will offer you what some people have to do the world to travel to experience this, and that's the best part of being an immigrant in this country. Like you get experience all in one.
Thanks for watching another episode of Unreservd. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to stay part of the conversation while we're not posting videos, follow us on Instagram and Twitter @Unreservd.